What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Brenner Video YouTube channel. And today we're in Dover, PA with owner of Creekside Auto Sales, Larry Baer. Larry, thank you for having us.
Yeah, not a problem.
Every time I go to the track, I'd say on a bunch of cars, most cars, advertising, I see Creekside Auto Sales. How long have you been supporting dirt track racing?
I'm 64 and I started when I was 15.
Really?
Yeah, so I had my own demolition derby cars. That's where I started at BAP Speedway, Susquehanna Speedway.
So you've been around it that long?
Yep, lived right down the road from it. And we used to drive our cars without driver's license, our demolition derby cars right to the racetrack.
Demolition cars?
Yep, demolition derbies at it was Susquehanna Speedway.
Now, what did you run after that?
Left them, and then we went to the, I guess they were called Enduro stock. So they were like the Enduro cars that ran like 100 lap and 200 lap races like Williams Grove, Lincoln. Susquehanna had them, they had a counter. And they counted the laps, and they paid like $2,000, $3,000 to win them races. And them guys would have just, it was an Enduro car, and you had to endurance it for 200 laps.
Now, what did you get into after that?
Them Enduro cars became Thunder cars.
Okay.
So then when we were in Enduro cars, we ran them races like that. And then Susquehanna started a class that you could go there and run 20 laps in the Enduro cars. You lined up by a pill, no yellows. The only way they would stop the race, when the yellow come out, everybody had to stop immediately on the racetrack. And the only reason they would stop the race if a guy was crashed, spun out, and his doors were facing the traffic. But if he crashed and was sitting on the top of the racetrack or on the bottom or in the middle of the turn and his doors weren't towards traffic, you raced around him.
Wow.
So you raced 20 laps not knowing what obstacle might show up on your racetrack.
They just leave them out there.
They left the driver stayed in them and all. He couldn't get out of the car. They just stayed green for 20 laps. The Enduro cars, we went to Thunder cars. And then when we went to Thunder cars, that's when Lincoln, Susquehanna, we ran 15 to 20 lap races. They had a challenge race. If you won the week before, you could challenge the next week and start dead last. If you could drive from the back to the front, they double your money.
Wow.
Through Pepsi. They called it the Pepsi Challenge. Pepsi sponsored us. I left there, and then they became Thunder cars. And we ran Thunder cars for years at Lincoln, Susquehanna. We would go to Selinsgrove every so often. We just ran everywhere. Me and Rick Reinl. I used to haul them. I worked for York Springs Auto Auction, and I'd use the 4-car rollback when I'd load our cars, and we'd go racing.
Wow.
So we just raced wherever.
Now, what time did you get into the late models?
I left the Thunder cars and I drag raced for a little while. I got married, had some kids, money got tighter. So, I mean, I worked, a 40-hour, 50-hour week job. So then I started doing a little bit of drag racing because I always had that in my blood, street cars. And I became an official for the Cars Limited Sprints.
Oh, okay.
I teched all their motors. I checked them, teched them, CC'd them, because I always built all my own motors. I built all my own motors in-house. So with the help of Dick Smith, which worked at Don Ott's, but, Dick worked at other places before Don Ott's, and he did all my motors. And then the guy I worked for, York Springs Auto Auction, I wind up, he said, why don't you move up? Smokey Snellbaker worked at Preston Trucking at Strinestown. We were across the other side of the 83 at York Auto Auction. And Smoke stopped in there all the time, and he was driving Sportsman's at the time. Bob Conley said to me, I think you need to move up. And I said, oh, I don't know about that. He said, yep. And that was the end of it. Like 2 weeks later, he said, come on, we're going to Harrisburg looking to buy a car. We drove to Harrisburg and we wind up at George Houx's place. And George had Sportsman's, and we went over there. Bob bought me the car, a Sportsman. That was in probably in 89, 90. And I did that Sportsman car for 2 years, won Rookie of the Year in them at Silver Springs. And I ran the tour. I ran all the races, 2 years. And then I left the Sportsman class. I left Conley working for him and went and got a job at York Waste. I sold my Sportsman stuff off, and I bought a late model. I bought Smokey Fry's championship car. I want to say 91 maybe. It was a Ray Allen car, and I bought that from him and Bill Wampler. And then that's where I started in late model. So that was somewhere probably around 94 or 95.
Wow.
And then I've been in late models ever since.
Now, when did you stop driving a late model?
Well, I drove late models a year and a half ago. I drove at BAPS. I come out of retirement and decided my grandson quit driving and I had cars and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to BAPS, race again. So I did that. I was running second in the points to Colby Fry. Probably was going to win the championship because he wasn't going to run all the races. I mean, we were close. I set fast time a couple of times and I won a couple heat races. I finished second to feature once or twice. I mean, I was running right up front and then I had a fallout with BAPS Speedway over there with the way they treated us, the curfew stuff. I voiced my opinion. They didn't like it and they abandoned me. I have to pay a fine to race there. So I sold all my stuff.
Wow.
My limited stuff I sold to Pat and Pat Sr. McNeil bought my stuff. They came and bought the car complete and then Pat drove it. So I sold out to them my limited stuff and I had the super stuff and Andrew was already driving. I just was going to play myself back here. I sold all that stuff off and then me and Andrew just kind of raced and I didn't get back in a car. Colby had a car last year and the year before just to run 10, 12 races. The 15-year-old grandson this year, he races four-wheelers. He decided that he wanted to maybe drive the race car. So I went to Colby's and got the car back from Colby's, which that's the yellow car behind us. That was a super car, and I bought the motor in this limited car going to Florida in February with Corey Gingrich. Corey said he was selling the motor. I bought the motor going to Florida to Speed Week, me and him. And then when we got to Florida, I come home and my wife tells me that Deshaun wants to drive again. Well, I mean, I couldn't take the super car because that car was complete and make it a limited for the other one. So I said to Corey, I guess I got to look for a car. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I guess I got to buy a car. He says, well, you can just buy the whole car. I didn't even pull the motor out yet. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I come to Florida with you for Speed Week and I liked it. And I come home, told my girlfriend, man, I really liked it down there in Florida. I wouldn't mind living there. And she said to me, well, let's pack up and go to Florida. So 3 weeks later, I bought the car off. Only 3 weeks later, I loaded him in my enclosed trailer, him and her, and they bought a place in Florida, sold her place here, and they moved to Florida. So that's kind of how we wound up with a limited now for the other one. So now we got 2 cars here again. Andrew has 2 cars. So I don't know. I'm just a race fanatic. I help a lot of other guys over the years. I help Brett Martz and my name's on Corey Lauber's car. I always help Colby Fry's dad, Ronnie, whoever drove for them. I'm on Max Blair's car on the Lucas Oil Tour.
Now, do you do that mainly every weekend? Go to the track?
Well, like at Andrew's place, Andrew and them do all their own maintenance. They work on their own cars. They call me and tell me what they need. I get it for them. Usually I'll go to Andrew's if I have to this week. Tuesdays is Andrew's trip if I can't take it to the racetrack. Whatever they need, I kind of run up there on Tuesdays, give them a hand, whatever, you know. As far as doing much to it, you know, do I leave here and get there? They don't get home till 5:30. I get to the garage at 5:30. We fool around with the car for an hour or two or talking, bat the breeze, unload the truck, and we really don't do anything. They basically do they do everything to them 2 cars up there. I don't do anything. That's all Andrew and them. And when at the racetrack, at the beginning, I used to help Gene and we discussed what we were doing to it to make it better and, you know, the chassis and all that. But then I kind of stepped back because Gene knows what he's doing and I just kind of let them do their own thing. Like I don't get involved now. They've been struggling a little bit qualifying here lately. We've been talking the last couple of weeks here trying to get him straightened out. We went to practice at Ceilings Grove 3-4 weeks ago. And I took Deshaun up with this car, this yellow car, and practice. And then we put Andrew in for a session and he said that car felt so much better than his. So then we changed his around a little bit, got him a little better. So now they're working, just finding it now, trying to get it, get a little better or whatever. So
what are the plans this season with these 2 cars?
The 15-year-old didn't drive yet at all. We rented BAP Speedway. So we're going to take him there and just running for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
Teach him how to drive, kind of help him, get him up to speed where I could take him to the races and he could start in the back of the field and learn how to drive and start him in the back, not up front till he shows he can aggress to the front. Yeah. In other words, he starts passing cars, then I'll let him start in the front. Otherwise, he has to start at the back and prove himself. I just don't feel that our racing today is so much different than when we drove years ago. I don't think they develop drivers anymore in this racing community. Everybody wants to pull a pill or they want a time trial. start the fast guys in the front, and then nobody passes any cars. Where I feel that if you're going to be a racer, like back when we did, we got handicapped to 12th, 14th. And if we were going to win a race, we drove from 14th to win a race. So you learn how to drive your race car. Today, you can start on the front row. If your car's okay, you don't have to pass nobody. And not saying taking anything from anybody, but if you start a Rick Eckert on the front row, or a Greg Satherley, or a Mason Ziegler, or a Max Blair, and they're running in the region here at home, a guy like us aren't going to drive by him. Vice versa, if we time trialed good and started in front of them, they're probably not going to drive by us. So it doesn't make good racing for fans. And I think that my honest opinion is, I never promoted, but I think that when you go to a race, you want to be excited. There's not a race on the racetrack because they're all in the bottom, because you put the fast guy in the front, the slower guy to the back, they take the green and they all ride around because there's nobody. They don't have to pass nobody.
Yeah, there's no action.
So there's no action. I go to a lounge every night for racing. There's a race I'm there. I was there last night, Wednesday night, Monday night. I mean, I'll be honest, the other night they ran there at that Jacks Valley Speedway, or Jack Speedway.
Yeah. The
sprint cars. I mean, that was one of the best sprint car races I've seen in so long. That got me excited because it was like slide jobs. They were racing each other. They were on top of each other. You didn't know who was winning. It was 4 guys fighting for the lead. I mean, it was exciting. Like tonight at Williams Grove tonight, they're going to take the green and it won't be much of a race. It'll just be, you might get a guy that passes a car or two, or it just doesn't make good racing. It doesn't.
File.
I haven't been to Williams Grove in 2 years. I used to go to Grove every Friday night, Lincoln every Saturday. I didn't race. Sundays I was at BAP Speedway. I went to all the races all year long, and I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even go watch Andrew. I stayed home and he won at Port Royal last year. I just didn't feel I need to be there. It doesn't get me excited. I'd rather have 5 races on the TV.
Yeah.
And if there's an exciting one, I'm going to watch that, because I'm about a good race. I'm not about hollering for Andrew. And even though I own the car, I want him to win. If it's a race up front and there's 5 guys battling, I'm not even watching him. Yeah. I'd watch the race up front, because I always say that I don't have a favorite. You know, when Max is in a race, I'd like to see Max win, but I'm watching where the race is. If the race is up front, I want to watch Thornton and Hudson and whoever's up front battling. That gets me excited watching them race for the win, not just follow the leaders.
Well, that's kind of how it is. You want to see the action.
Yeah, you want to see the action. And I think that's what's killing our racing today.
Do you think that racing is hurting around this area?
Listen, I used to be that little guy. I raced on paycheck, Fortunately, I made business and I can do what I do now, but I know what it's like to race on Saturday night with a $350 paycheck this week. I always felt that guy has to pay the bills the same as the guy that's winning. The problem is when you got a guy like, well, let's say Cody Leiter. I'm going to use him because he runs up front a little bit, but he's that guy that runs from 5th to 13th. Well, the problem is if he could start up front and start in front of the faster cars, he may have a chance to win the race or run second tonight to help him pay his bills. I'm going racing next week. I mean, we have 4 race cars. Cody Leiter probably has 1 race car. I was in the blacktop business and I did a lot of paving for race guys. And I'll be honest, I'll never forget it. Greg Hodnick told me one time, I was paving his house driveway and he said, Larry, the only difference in racing anymore today is if you can be better than the other guy. Because when you go to the racetrack tonight, the guy that is the low buck team can win a race, because he's only low buck because he has 1 car, 1 motor, but that 1 car and 1 motor as good as the car and the motor I'm racing. The only difference is if he crashes his Friday night at Williams Grove, he won't be at Lincoln Saturday night, where I have 2 more cars in the shop. I can go there and race tomorrow night. That's the difference. He said our racing got so competitive, you don't have that car where lower buck team don't have that chance to win, where if they started up front, it would help them guys. The lower buck team.
Might give them a chance.
Give them a chance, yeah. I feel they got to pay their bills the same as Greg Satherley or Rick Eckert or me or whatever. I mean, we all come from there. I'm sure that I know where Rick started running figure 8s, and I'm sure that, they came up through the ranks and they're street stocks and all that, just like I did. And, we kind of made business and, we're a little better off today than we were 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But everybody starts at the bottom. You got to learn to crawl before you walk, and before you walk, you run. So, and we worked out of this shop, me and my guys, and we used to build everything, build the bodies, the brakes, the shears, the milling machines. We built all our own radius rods. We welded all our own bumpers. We aluminum panels on. We built them all. The bouncers over there to bounce the motors, where we did our own motors. Back there's the block decking machine. We have the head machine. We don't have the head machine here anymore, or the boring stuff anymore. But we did all that stuff here. We built our own motors right from here.
Wow.
We kind of did it all right in-house. And then my buddy, he worked for FES. He was a certified welder. So like when we crashed a car, we sat it here on the table and measured and welded it back together and jigged it and fixed it ourselves right here and went racing again. Like tried different stuff, just built stuff ourselves, and
every part of it.
Yeah, we just kind of build everything. That's the way we had to afford to do it. Now today, you really don't build much anymore. I mean, you buy everything. Like it's just
together.
Yeah, I actually even did some 358 racing. Yeah, I drove for Dick Smith a couple of times. I drove for Scott LeBaron's Auto Salvage. I drove for him. When I went to rocket cars, I never had rocket cars, and then I bought one of Scotty Hall's cars in 2010, I guess. Somewhere around there. I bought it at Silver Springs Flea Market. And I had Klein Septic System out of Lancaster came on board with me the year before. They sponsored me $1,000. The next year I bought a rocket car. The Kleins came on full bore and sponsored the whole car.
Wow.
They were real good. That was probably my biggest sponsorship I ever had, was through Kleins. They gave me X amount of dollars to get started. Every time I won a race, they doubled my money. If I won the championship, I doubled my money they gave me during the year. So like we won the championship with them. We won 6 races with them. Like we had a real good year. Ron Cooper and Randy Cooper and them, they wind up buying my rocket car for me. I actually drove for them then. After Klein's quit, they bought my race car and I put the motors in it. They put the car there, and then they bought fuel, tires, and I drove for them. Kept the car here, and then we won the championship with them. At the end of the year, they decided they were done. They weren't going to race no more, and they gave me the car.
Wow.
They said, we're just going to give you the car. You want to put our name on, we appreciate it. You did that good for us, we're just going to give it to you. So they gave me the car. I still do business with them. I buy some used cars from them. And
do you still get sponsors for on these cars, or do you just basically do most of it yourself because you do have the parts?
Well, see, so what I do with Andrew, I pay Andrew a fee to drive for me over a certain amount. Andrew's car, Andrew owns all the sponsorship. I don't go for any of them. I don't have nothing to do with any of them. That's Andrew's pay.
Okay.
So Andrew keeps the cars at his house. Andrew and them maintenance them. They haul them to the racetrack. They pay their own ways in. Whatever sponsorship money they get, I couldn't tell you if they get $1,000 or $20,000.
Yeah.
I pay all the bills on the race car. I collect all the money it brings in. And then Andrew collects all the sponsorship money, and that pays them whatever they're getting to get the race car to the racetrack, whatever pays their pit passes in or whatever, that's all on them. I don't have anything to do that. Now, this car here behind me, Deshaun's, we got a couple buddies like that. Keeper's Concrete. He gave us a few $100. He does concrete work for me. We just kind of put him on Fryco, which is Colby. He sells us parts at discount. We got all above body shop. He did all the paint and the yellow, paint some stuff for us and stuff like that. Trade work. Big Wrangler Ranch was Randy Keister. So Randy was a buddy of mine, and he passed away here a couple months back, but me and Randy were always close, and Randy always helped us bought us a few tires and all that. So I have Randy's name on it. And then Ponchos is the same way. They help us. The dumpster company's me.
When do you plan on retiring if you have all this work?
I basically did retire. I mean, I'm 64 now. My wife, she was at her job 41 years. She lost her job a year ago. So she's retired. Still own the car a lot. I have a girl that works for me. My service garage, I turned that over to my stepson, so he runs all that now. I don't have nothing to do with that anymore. That's totally on him. I moved my car lot. I rented my old car lot out. I moved my car lot up the road to a little office building to keep my tag, still rent some cars.
Well, what's the plans with the racing?
Just going to race, the yellow car is going to race all the Ceilings Grove races with Deshaun. And he's going to do Ceilings Grove. We might venture out, do some Roaring Knob. He's not a Port Royal fan, so I can't see him going to Port. He picks his own schedule. As far as the limited, the 15-year-old, he's going to practice on the 8th, and then I'll run him every week. I'm a firm believer you have to race to get better. You know, years ago, we used to have 6, 7 guys interested. Came to the shop every Tuesday, every Thursday. Had like Derek Zirkle, Brad Wolf, John Hodden, John Kuhn that played football, Chuck Yingling, Charlie Yingling's boy drove. They all helped me here, and then they all started driving. They wanted to do it. So we would go to Path Valley, and I'd say, well, who's driving tonight? So I'd take a car to Path Valley, and one of them boys would drive. I'd let them drive the race car at night and take them to Path Valley. Well, then next thing you know, they were hooked and wanted to buy a car. That's how we get our younger generation involved.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, today's world, there's not a young generation. It's just tough. They're just not out there.
Yeah, and you can tell when you go to the track, it's not full.
No, not like it used to be. So I don't know what to say what our racing's coming to. I say it's coming to regional racing. I don't know. We used to race 3 nights a week. Now we're down to racing once or twice a week or not at all. And just that's the way it was. 3 nights a week. Even though I had late models, Dick Smith wanted to build a Thunder car, and Larry Hughes drove for us. So we'd bring it here. Dick would come. He built the motors, and we built motors and built the car from the ground up. We built it, and then, we won the championship, I think, 3 years in a row. Larry would start dead last and had the Pepsi sign on the side, drive to the front, win the race, and it would pay us $600 to win an extreme stock race. We did that for a few years, and then Donnie Broderick bought that car, and we got out of that racing, full bore racing my whole life. I don't know what I would do if I didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me out, Larry.
Yep, not a problem. Thank you.
Yes, sir. With that being said, like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
You got it. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Built for horsepower, filmed full throttle.